for sure.
Colin, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, perfect. We can hear again. All right, guys, we're gonna start this over. But Sean Farley with the Just Good Network. Uh, Glad to be joining you guys again, especially my guy Javion, aka the Clipper fan. But I'm with Voices of Mo, Colin, and also Javion, like I said. So we're talking NBA basketball. Once again, last week was a great conversation. It's Tuesday, and it's a lot. It's a lot to cover. So obviously, this past weekend we seen LeBron James have another 50-point game against the Washington Wizards. Also, they prevailed and win. That was the last one that they had. We understand that these last couple games have been, they've been having L's. But I just want to go back on that because that was still a historic type of night for LeBron James. Second 50-point game this year. I'm going to start first with you, Colin. What were your thoughts on the 50-point game that LeBron James has had against Washington this past weekend?
I mean, it was an amazing performance to see. I cut the game off in the third quarter just because I just got tired. But then I got on Twitter like a couple minutes before I went to bed, and I saw people saying like, "Oh, Bron going crazy." So I cut it back on real quick. Was watching it, and it's just amazing to see that. It's amazing to see the shooter that he's become. Honestly, early in his career, a lot of people questioned his jump shot, especially in Cleveland and Miami. But he's done what all the greats have done when they get late in their career and the athleticism kind of goes. You develop a jumper, and his is beautiful. The follow away is working. He has the range from three that people only say that Curry has and Dame has. He's pulling logo shots too. It was a great performance, but it's just it's sad that he has to have 50 against the Washington Wizards for us to even be in the game. But hey, I guess we're gonna make this play in, and we'll see what. Hopefully, we can have two 50-point games in there.
Exactly, exactly. So, Mo, what was your thoughts on the 50-point game against Washington that LeBron had?
I mean, it's amazing to see him do this at the age that he's at now. We all know, Bron to be a good scorer and all that, but like Colin said, it sucks that he has to go out and hit 50 a night just to get a win across. Because last two games, he hit 30 and boom, it still was an L. So it's like, all right, I like what Bron is doing, but I mean, how much is it helping the Lakers really? Like, and to get to the play-in or even get to the playoffs or anything like that? How longer can he actually keep this up? Because we know he has that little injury, that the little nick that he has. Can he keep this up? Can he be consistent? Can he continue to play these long minutes? Because now you have to rely on Bron to do most of the work, and you have to play him these extra amount of minutes just to stay into any kind of game. So how long can this last for him? Now it's amazing to see him be able to still hit 50 points a night on any given night and just shoot effortless from anywhere on the court. That's amazing. It's exciting to see, but it's still like, can the Lakers keep it up? Can Bron keep this up to keep the Lakers in it?
Exactly. I share those same sentiments as a Lakers fan. It's like, you know what? I'm gonna let Javion go in and speak because I got a lot to say towards that. What'd you feel, Javion, with the 50-point performance?
Braun is a smart man. I think this is big on the scoring title, in my opinion. Braun
For
knows
sure.
that scoring. He's tied with Giannis in second, and he's behind Embiid, who's averaging 34 in the last four games. It's gonna be tough to catch Embiid, but these last two 50-point games is Braun trying to be the oldest scoring champion in the history of the league. He's gonna catch Kareem. There's no rush catching Kareem. He's gonna catch that with time. But I think LeBron chasing scoring title. Last time he won it was 2008. So this is the closest he's been in a while. I think that's what LeBron's going for right now.
Exactly. And for me as a Lakers fan, it just reminds me. I know I said this last week, guys, but it reminds me of that 2012 season. When Kobe Bryant, his last prime year. He was scoring, he was doing all he could, playing 46, 47 minutes, per game. Obviously that's like he's only getting a minute rest. You know what I mean? Each game playing that many minutes with the Mike D'Antoni system, and this team kind of reminds me a little bit like that because there was so much expectations. And when you're a Laker, you always have championship expectations if you have superstars on the team. Let's not forget Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard was still pretty much in his prime when we got Dwight Howard at that time. Paul Gasol, Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash. Similar towards this team, Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? We understand Russ was kind of a misfit, but Russ, obviously LeBron, Carmelo, AD. So my point in saying all this was, now just how Kobe had to kill himself, pretty much, exhaust himself, I should say, in the minute, and he ended up tearing his Achilles late, and that was like the last time we seen Kobe in his prime, and they made the playoffs, but barely. It's looking really similar towards this with LeBron James and the Lakers because he's basically having to score 50 points, just to win, just like you guys have said. And just like Mo said, when he gets 30, which is a solid performance, pretty much a 30-point triple-double, you're getting blown out. And again, I know the question was basically the 50-point game against Washington, but of course we know what happened the last two games. They got blown out. So for me, it's just too reminiscent of, again, I know it's a while back, but I've been a Laker fan that long. It's too reminiscent of that 2012 season because you got a superstar, a legend doing all the scoring, but at the same time, I mean, where is it really going to get us? You know what I mean? So hopefully, just like Colin said, we can possibly even make the play-in because we're only one on top of the Lakers, only one on top of one game ahead of the New Orleans Pelicans, who they still have to face two more times before the regular season ends. But I don't know. I just really hope it starts translating to wins. And, it's not necessarily can LeBron score up enough points. It's if the other guys get more involved and be more efficient in scoring. So, to me, what I thought with the game, I thought it was amazing. It's great to see, especially how efficient he's been. But it's a little scary, too, because it gave me those Laker nightmares. But, transition to our second question, you all. We're going to go to the East Coast. We're going to the Eastern Conference. Another team who had high expectations, still trying to, start soaring after the trade deadline. We know the Brooklyn Nets have Ben Simmons, who didn't play in this game. This is a big game last Thursday. But the Nets, they blew out the 76ers. And 76ers, of course, I think this is Embiid and James Harden's first loss together, I believe, against the Brooklyn Nets. So, JV, I want to start with you, man. Are there any concerns for the Sixers after finally facing let's say one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, at least talent-wise, in the Brooklyn Nets? Are you concerned at all for the 76ers?
It's slight concern my way. It's a playoff atmosphere game. That game, I watched the beginning and it was the rest of the season. Everybody was up for the game. My opinion, like I said last week, is the supporting cast. I like Andre Drummond defense on Embiid. That was huge and very underrated. Steph Curry shot the lights out, and Kyrie's defense on James Harden was ridiculous. And he won't, in my opinion, they're talking about Kyrie D on James Harden. He won't do that in the series because Ben Simmons will get that nod. He will be more a 7-game series on offense on scoring, while Ben Simmons, the first team all defense guy, will get that nod. So as far as Philly, I still don't see the Tobias fit. He's trying, but he hasn't had the smoothest transition with James Harden coming. And James Harden, the big game, he still has that thing. So it's a slight concern, but we'll see in the playoffs, I think. We'll see in the playoffs.
Mo, how do you feel about it? We know your team, Chicago's in the 4th seed right now in the Eastern Conference. We know Philadelphia is trying to peak around there as well. How do you feel about are the Sixers in any concerns when they got blown out against the Nets, or no big deal?
I don't think it's like a big concern, but I think it was more of a wake-up call for them. More of a let me knock you off your high horse type of thing. Because they went on that win streak. James Harden and Embiid was dominating together. It was a crazy, them two in the pick and roll game is crazy. But I think the Nets, I even said the Nets was going to win this game. I just knew for a fact that they were going to win. I knew Kevin Durant and Kyrie wasn't going in there and not coming out with a win. And no, there was a story floating around that James Harden and Kyrie used to play every day in practice one-on-one. And they said Kyrie used to beat him. And after that game, I was like, man, that story might be true because Kyrie really was locking him down. We don't really know Kyrie for defense like that. The way he locked down James Harden, I feel like they pretty much just gave him trouble all night. I don't think it's a lot of concern for them. I think it was a wake-up call, knock you off your high horse. You got to get back to the drawing boards. There are still other teams out here that can handle you just as well as anybody else.
No, exactly. So Colin, going to you now. Look, since we're both Laker fans, Charles Barkley before said he sees Joel Embiid, James Harden, potentially could be the next Kobe and Shaq. Then he tried to backtrack and say, okay, they have potential to be Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. After getting blown out like this, are you concerned at all for the 76ers?
My only concern is really with James Harden. this big game bug that he seems to have and get a pass for 10 plus years now is ridiculous. He's been folding since he was in Houston. Well, really even folded since OKC in that finals against the Heat. I think he averaged like around 13 points in that finals. So I mean, this is just the player that he is. He just doesn't show up when it matters. And I've been saying that for a while. I think the only concern is really him. And B is going to show up. He's going to give you his 30, his 10, and whatever assist he gets on that night. Embiid is proving that he's a bucket. He's going to do whatever to make sure that his team wins. But I think what really stood out to me is just how personal Kyrie took the matchup. I think that he feels really disrespected that James Harden requested to leave. And I think it goes to show that Harden definitely left because Kyrie wasn't playing. Because there's no way that Kyrie takes that matchup that personal. Like I don't think I've ever seen Kyrie play defense that hard ever. Like even going into the times he had to switch on Curry in the finals or Clay in the finals, I've never seen him play defense that hard. Like he was on it. But my only concern is really just James Harden. I think that this is his last year to really get a ring, in all honesty, because what other team is there for you to jump to next?
Real quick, guys, I love the Collins shots. Last week it was Steph Curry. Is he that guy? I don't know. The regular season is he kind of over in the playoffs? Now it's James Harden. He's been folding since OKC. Before he even had the beard, he was baby Harden.
Look at the numbers, man. Look at what he averages. Look at what he averages in game what's the term in just what's the term, bro?
What, regular season game?
Nah. Like in the playoffs, like the last game.
Closeout game?
Yeah, closeout games. Look at his numbers in closeout games. He's shooting like 30 and 40%.
Oh no, I'm not disagreeing with you because he's definitely had that knock on him. I'm just saying it's just funny because it's Colin be taking shots at the superstars. He makes hot takes.
If it's not Braun, I got a shot for you.
That's what it is. Exactly. But nah, for me, guys, I mean, is it concern for the 76ers? I don't really think so, but it shows the potential the Nets have. Having Kyrie, obviously, if you play on the road, I still think this team could potentially be a finals team. Even if Kyrie, if they don't necessarily lift the mandate for him to play, which is, ignorant in itself. But the point, though, is that because if you still have a Kevin Durant, and we'll see what Ben Simmons is like, as far as his mental game and things like that. But if you still can win a couple games at home, at least in the series, and then you have Kyrie, who's always going to be rested because he's not, he probably can't practice every day with the team. You know what I mean? And also he can't play the home games. Kyrie's always going to be, to me, he's going to be rested. He doesn't get in trouble, things like that off the court. So he's going to be focused and dialed in, when away games. So I still think this team has enough talent to possibly make it somewhere. But as well as his concerns for the 76ers, I don't really think so. Again, this is like even Harden said, he said, it's kind of good that we got, our butts kicked because we can basically, rekindle, hey, eat some humble pie and see where we go from here. And look, if these teams do meet in the playoffs, it's only one game, it's a whole series. So, you take one game at a time and see what happens. And I think they have a decent enough coach. Colin mentioned about James Harden choking. I was going to say they have a good enough coach in Doc Rivers, but we know he'd be choking too in the postseason. So, I was going to say, they have
Javion, though.
Oh yeah, Javion. I should ask you. Yeah, you definitely know. But no, I feel like at least with the 76ers, it's one game. We'll see how they bounce back if they meet in the playoffs. So I don't want to be too concerned, but it just shows how much talent the Nets really have and why they should be looked out for. So, guys, we're going to go right back to the Western Conference. This guy's been balling out all year. I had him in my MVP votes, possibly top 3, and that's John Morant. So where do you guys rank him among the top point guards today? Colin, I want to start with you.
I think he has to be top 5. He's second in points in the paint, which scares me, though. I just was having a conversation about this last night. The way that he puts his body on the line every night, it just really reminiscent of Allen Iverson, who took a lot of physical beating in his career, and Derrick Rose, his legs kind of just gave out on him. But outside of that, John Morant is definitely playing like an MVP this year. He should definitely be. He should finish top 3 voting, in my opinion. I think only Jokic and Embiid are playing better than him. So he's definitely top 5 point guard right now.
How do you feel about John Morant right now, Mo? As far as the top point guards in the league?
Oh yeah, he's definitely my top 5 right now. I mean, the guy can go. But like Colin said, it's kind of scary the way he throws his body because we seen what happened to D Rose, and that was that hurt us Bulls. That hurt us real bad. But John's been playing his best ball, and sometimes I don't think he get the recognition that he deserves. Like we talk about it for a while when he have like a wild night, and then he just kind of goes on the radar, and like everything he's doing and he's sacrificing is like okay, that's just normal. No, that's not normal because the way he's playing now is. I mean, he played good last year, but this year is like a totally different person. And I think sometimes what he's doing is actually just going unnoticed and just like floating on the radar. Like Colin said, he should be in the run for MVP.
Javion, how do you feel about John Morant
I think
and the
Josh,
top point guards? Go ahead.
I think he's having a great season, especially with that number 2 seed. That's very unexpected in that tough Western Conference. And that there's a lot with him being a best player. In the healthy PA, Ja is 5'6" on my list. I had to break it down. I had to break this question down. No specific order. I'm coming Curry, CP3, Kyrie, Luka, James. Now,
You don't have Kyrie as a shooting guard.
I put on NBA.com whatever PG is next to it because we don't know positions nowadays.
For sure. For
Next
sure.
that's who I'll put down. But behind Dame, Luka, Kyrie, CP3, and Curry, he wouldn't be my top 5. Top 6 definitely hands down, and that's not taking nothing from what he's doing this season. So I think he's gonna do nothing but grow and definitely have MVP in his season.
That's the
No,
scary part.
that is the scary part. Exactly. So young, he's continuing to get better. And I kind of agree with you all. You know, at first, like John Morant, to me, he was a star last year. It's like, okay, he's a rising star. You know, it's his second year in the NBA last year. You know, he's definitely showing potential to be that guy. This year, it's like he's a superstar. Like he's one of the guys. He might be on NBA 2K23 for the people who play 2K. You know what I mean? He's having
Yeah,
that
and he
type
don't
of
even got a jumper yet.
Exactly. He doesn't have the consistent jumper yet. So with me, for me, if we're talking about strictly this year, and I don't necessarily like trying to jump on the bandwagon and say, oh, this person's the best when they're having a great year. I need to continue to see it. But if we're saying this year for point guards, he's definitely top 3 to me, or maybe behind Steph right now, just because the explosion he's having. They're still in a tough Western Conference. You know, I believe that they might be the 4th seed, or at least definitely a top seed in the Western Conference. Averaged 27 points a game, almost 7 assists as well, and I believe almost 6 rebounds. So he's doing all he can, for this Memphis Grizzlies team. And I know, Colin, you don't really believe in him and the experience and things like that. But when you got a superstar like this, and who can continue to build confidence on other players, hey, you never know. You know what I mean? We really never know. But for me, as far as the best point guards today, I think we definitely have to say he's top 3 or top 5 at least today. And Javion, I heard your list. If I was for me, I would probably say Steph. If Dame was healthy, I'll still have Dame too, personally. But it's tricky because it's like how you said with Kyrie, is he considered a shooting guard or not? Because I think the same thing with Luka. Is he a shooting guard or is he a point guard? You know what I mean? So if we want to say shooting guard for Luka, then obviously I can't have him in the top 5 point guards. But however the order is, I think you always have to respect John Morant and put him in that top 5, no matter who's point guard or not. We know CP3 has been, he's been out the lineup, so he's definitely a top 5 point guard. But I think John Morant definitely belongs with the elite point guards today. So we're going back to the Eastern Conference guys. I'm here in Atlanta, ATL. You know what I mean? And the Hawks, the Braves won the World Series last year. The Georgia Bulldogs did their thing, but a lot of people forget that the Hawks, it's called Atlanta Sports Curse. The Hawks actually made the Eastern Conference last year. They didn't start off well in the regular season. I believe they were tied probably going into Game 4 with the Milwaukee Bucks. They stole Game 1 last year in the Eastern Conference, and they end up, Trae Young was hurt, and they end up losing against the eventual champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. But this year, they're a nice seed, 34-34. How do you guys feel? Can the Hawks do damage if they make it back to the playoffs? They're going to play in the play-in game most likely. But if they make it to the playoffs, can they do any damage? How do you feel about it, Mo? Since your team, the Bulls in the East, how do you feel about the Hawks?
Hey, the Hawks did the same thing last year, so it's like don't count them out. Just don't count them out. Trae Young had an amazing game the other night, 46 points. Right now they're on a 3-game win streak, so I'm not counting them out because they did this exact same thing, literally the exact same thing they did last year. Like almost like schedule for schedule. It's like, oh, okay, you're just gonna have a repeat of last year and just blow the whole playoffs up. So if Trae Young stay healthy and they go back, I mean, you can't count them out.
Javion, can the Hawks do any damage if they make the postseason, man?
If they make the postseason, they have the talent to do that. As far as matchups, the 7th or 8th seed, they're gonna run into the Heat, Bucks, Sixers, or Bulls. Those, that's gonna be a tough first round for anybody. But I don't see them coming out the first round. But again, you can't bet because nobody thought that they were gonna be last year and they did that. So it'll be a good one.
Okay. How do you feel about the Hawks, Colin?
I don't see them beating anybody. Top 4 in the East or top 5 in the East, like at all. I think the Celtics are better. I think the Nets are better. I think the Sixers are better. I think the Bulls are better. I think I don't want to call it luck, but last year I didn't believe in that team, and I don't believe in them this year either. Like last year to me, there was like a Cinderella team, like Butler, the year they made it to the Final Four. That's how I look at that Hawks team last year. Whether Trae Young was healthy or not, they were going to lose to the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I want to ask y'all this question: what do you think they're missing?
I was literally about to ask you that. But I mean, for me, honestly, it's like they need a wing or somebody that's a little bigger that can drive to the hoop, or a different type of scoring, because they have the 3-point scoring, but as well they got one of the worst defenses in the league as well. You can have a shootout with teams, but if you can't at least defend and at least be decent at it, we see what's happening with the Lakers. And the Lakers are the 9th seed as well in the Western Conference. So, I mean, I think they need a good defender and also somebody that can really drive to the hole and not just be sharpshooters.
Yeah, so I went to the game against the Spurs this year. And what I really realized is how much of a liability Trae is on defense. DeJounte Murray lit him up for like 34 that game. They got really slow guys. Their wings are really slow. Kevin Huerter's slow. Danilo Gallinari is slow. So I think it goes back to maybe they need a bigger guard to come in after Trae, and they definitely need a wing for sure. But wings are hard to come by. Like a good wing is hard to come by in the NBA. So
I thought with Cam Reddish, I think they gave up way too early. It was nothing but upside with Cam Reddish. You had the defense, you had the length, you had the defense. It was nothing but time, and I think he's not. I was expecting him to come alive. He's solid. I think he's going. He's good defender, but it's more than what he's doing. But Cam Reddish, that's one person I never understood that too.
Yeah, for Kevin Knox, it was ridiculous.
What you think, Mo?
Huh?
Any upgrades the Hawks probably need in order to be successful?
They need some defense. I remember Jansen asked me to do a video a couple weeks back about what was the Hawks' biggest issue. And I was like, it's the defense, man. Like, yeah, we can shoot, but can you defend? Can you stop somebody else from scoring? And I can't remember who they was playing, but the transition defense was horrible. It was like, are you just gonna let them run past you? Are you just gonna let them drive to the lane? Like, what are you really gonna do? And I think that the Hawks sometimes they rely on the 3-ball way too much. Even if they're like off, they still jack them. So it's like, what's the point of jacking them if you know they're not already going in? Get to the lane, get a couple fouls, go to the free throw line, get some easy buckets in. So I think they rely on the 3 way too much, and the defense is trashed.
It's trash. And I agree. I mean, it's last year it was kind of a Cinderella story. It's like, man, because a lot of people count out the Hawks. I hope the New York Knicks are back. Knicks in 7. It's a good warm up. Atlanta Hawks they never get the credit, I guess. They do or don't deserve, I should say. So last year, Knicks in 7, beat the Knicks in 5, get them out of here. Then they were saying, the Philadelphia 76ers, this is going to happen. They don't win it. They can't win in Philly. Hack a Ben, get them out of here. I said the Philadelphia 76ers will not win a champion. They won't win a championship with Ben Simmons on the team. I think he's too much of a liability. Got him out of there. The Milwaukee Bucks, obviously that's what they fell short. So, but again, kind of like what Colin said, even if it's they pretty much are kind of doing the same thing, like Mo said at first, but the same as far as last year. But at the same time, it's like teams got better. The Bucks, I don't really see them being the Bucks. The Nets got more firepower, even losing to James Harden. And as well, it's like the Miami Heat. you still, they're still a force to be reckoned with. And these other teams, so if the Hawks do face one of these top 4 or 5 teams, even the Boston Celtics, I don't like the Celtics, but hey, you got to give them respect. Tatum's balling. If the Hawks do face one of these teams, I can't really bet my money. If I were to bet, I can't really say they're going to, for sure it's going to be Hawks. I think the matchups last year were a little favorite, towards them against the Knicks and against the 76ers, but these teams are definitely totally different now. So if they make the postseason, it'll be cool. Atlanta, hope they do something, but I don't see the Hawks making it to the semifinals this year. So going to my last question to you all, we always talk about the players, you know what I mean? But it's about the coaches too. And coaching in the NBA, sometimes I feel like it could be overrated and underrated. I say overrated because when you have multiple superstars on your team, how much coaching do you really have to have, in order to be successful? When you have LeBron James on your team, and Anthony Davis, and, players like that, a big 3 on your team, how important is coaching? But at the same time, it could be underrated because we've seen the Toronto Raptors a few years ago. Although they did bring Kawhi Leonard in, a lot of people weren't really thinking this is automatically, they're going to make it to the finals. I don't know. Maybe I was one of them who wasn't that sold on them. But a Nick Nurse, who still has his team in the playoffs as of right now and not really having any superstars besides, I guess Van Vliet's a star. I would say he's a star, not a superstar yet. But my point, though, is that who is your coaches of the year? Or at least coach of the year, I should say. So Colin, I'm going to start with you, man. I feel like you're going to give a hot take on this one, so I'm going to start with you.
He is.
I really don't have a hot take for this one. I think it's definitely Monty Williams without a question. I think that he locked that award up when D-Book and CP went down, and he unleashed Cam. Cam hit a game winner. And the thing about Cam is when he was in Chicago, he was a waste man. Nobody knew anything about him. He didn't hit the floor. But the wings that they have in Phoenix, in that system that they play in, all those guys are flourishing. Mikal Bridges might mess around and win DPOY this year. I think it definitely has to be Monty Williams, man. Last year, nobody saw the Suns team going to the finals. Some people this year thought maybe that was just a 1-year thing, but it's for sure locked. I think they're in the Western Conference Finals at least. So I think it's Monty Williams for sure.
Javion, who's your coach of the year so far, man?
I'm going Monty Williams also. 54 and 14. Really like that. It's going to have things ahead of the next coaches to do Golden State. And last year they gave it to Tom Thibodeau. Last year it was his award to win, and they didn't give it to him last year. They let him coach the All-Star team. This year I think they really do.
How do you feel, Mo? Coach of the year for you?
Oh yeah, I was definitely thinking Monty, man. I thought he should have won it last year, but it is what it is. But to keep guys together the way he did after losing is sometimes it's hard because you get there, you get so close, you're like, all right, whatever, man. Like, hey, and everybody, they probably thought it was a fluke when they came back, but hey, they've been doing their playing their best ball, even with your biggest starters out. So if you can keep a team together with your starters out, like your main 2 guys, your key guys, you definitely should deserve Coach of the Year for that.
For me, I'm taking a heat take. I call it a heat take. Miami, man. Erik Spoelstra. He needs some credit. Tyler doesn't like it. It's cool. We can disagree. But he needs at least an honorable mention. First seed in the Eastern Conference. Nobody's talking about the Heat. Like I said last week, the bubble Heat. They only made it because of the bubble. They won 6 games with the Lakers. We knew they should lose that game, but he still made it to the finals. Look, let's just be honest. I know LeBron left over 8-9 years ago, but still, when LeBron James leaves teams, are their coaches still there? Ty Lue, obviously no. He's a coach of Los Angeles Clippers. We know Spoelstra was a champion when he had Dwayne Wade before LeBron came, but the fact that he's still coaching, they're still making the postseason. Again, I already mentioned they made the finals 2 years ago, but the fact that they're still the number 1 seed, and you have a team in Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, these guys, Bam, PJ Tucker, Kyle Lowry, a champion now. From a couple seasons ago with Toronto, they have a well-orchestrated team, but at the same time, it's like I think he deserves more credit. They have to have the number 1 seed and, to me, arguably, the best conference. Eastern Conference looked a little tougher this year than the Western Conference. I think Erik Spoelstra definitely deserves credit. Is he the best coach? I'm not necessarily saying that, but I mean, hey, you won your 7 out of the last 10 games. I think that's pretty good. You have a team who, like I said a couple weeks ago, this is a team to me that's flying under the radar. This is my dark horse. So I think Erik Spoelstra deserves some credit. He's one of the few coaches that LeBron has played for previously who still has a job, that's still a head coach on the same exact team. My guy's their exposure. That's my Heat take, I should say.
Why
mean,
nobody talk about
I
the Heat
respect.
though?
I respect Eric Spoelstra as a coach for sure. I think he's a great basketball mind, especially with the development of Tyler Hero. Especially from the season he had last year to him being a sixth man this year, he's definitely running away with that award. I like Eric, but I think he's a little overrated. I like him, but I think he's a little overrated.
Overrated? Okay. How you feel, Mo? How you feel about the Heat take?
My thing is, why nobody talk about the Heat, man? Like,
I said the Eastern Conference Finals bound for sure. I love that team because the only way you can score on them is picking on Duncan and Hero.
They've been out here playing their best ball and nobody talks about the
That's what
Heat.
I'm saying, man.
They don't have a superstar. That's why.
They got some stars, you know. But Jimmy Butler, he like to fly on the radar anyway. So
Not for 45 million. You can't be doing that with 45 million. Jimmy Butler got to be
Yikes!
last year he told us Jimmy Butler has to be that guy that puts up 28. We don't need the 19.
He goes missing. He has some really bad shooting nights in the playoffs. This year, that's not gonna fly. If you want to get out of the East, that's not gonna fly. Them 2 for 12 nights.
the East stack, man.
Who you talking about? What player?
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler.
He does it all the time. Yeah. He just has bad shooting nights.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and real quick, like for me, I give the edge and say he's a superstar because how I say superstars are like automatically like they're like 1 or 2 or 3 at least in their position. Like without a doubt, they're top 15 players. I think once you get 15, like once you get like 16 and over, those are more like stars. Again, I don't have the order right now in my head, but I'm just saying as far as like I'm trying to
Jimmy
explain.
Butler is not top 15.
He's not top 15?
No.
I need to. You know what? Next week, we're gonna get the rankings. That's what it is because I need to look over the top 15 to 20 players. I'm gonna say each player too. So
I don't think he's the best player on his team, right? I think Tyler Hero's having a better season, and I think he should be the number 1 option in the playoffs.
But is he a better player though? Is he a better player though? Let's be real. Is he a better player?
He's not giving you what Jimmy giving you on a defensive end. But if you like, I live in Florida, so I catch a lot of Heat games. Late in games, they go to Tyler Hero. They do not go to Jimmy.
I hear you. No, I respect that. TBD, to be determined, to be continued, I should say too. But as far as Jimmy Butler and the Heat, I mean, again, kind of like what Mo said. You know, this team was always flying under the radar. I think they still got that bubble demon beside them. I know it sounds weird, but that bubble presence was like, oh yeah, they did go to the finals. I forget that. And that was only a couple years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like no one really takes them serious. But at the same time, I mean, you still. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And if they don't go one and done, I think it's going to be it's going to be more interesting because then you had your top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. But other than that, guys, we answered all the questions. Is there anything you else, any other topics you guys want to touch on real quick, or any games tonight?
Bron is gonna pass Karl Malone within this next week, most likely. I think he only has 75 points before he passes Karl, so that'll be another accomplishment for him this season outside of the 30,000, 10,000, and 10,000. So that's what I'm looking forward to since we can't win any games.
Hey, y'all got 10 road games, man. 10 road games.
AD, please. Jesus, please. AD, bro. Come back.
Exactly. How you feel, Devion? Go ahead, Mo. Go ahead. My bad.
No, I was just telling Colin, hey, AD sometimes he get bullied now.
I mean, but how often does that really happen? Though? Like that's the narrative that happens for him, but it's like how often does that really happen? Like game one against the Suns last year, he had like a really bad game. He got bullied by DA. And he came back and he was the best player in the series games 2 and 3. So I mean, like he has off nights, but I think he's still a monster.
Yeah, he need to come back and dominate.
Go ahead, Jevion.
He goes against other stars. I think he kind of Giannis, he's averaging about 45 or nothing.
Yeah. The last time he played the Bucks, Giannis killed him. Oh my God.
No, yeah. I mean, as a Lakers fan, As a Lakers fan, even if AD comes back, I mean, of course, it's another presence, another body, so someone who can help defend the rim. Because I don't like playing small ball, man. Like, I don't know if it's just a 2K thing with me. Like, I had to start Dwight Howard at center because get his tail out there at least. I know he's not the same. He's probably not even half what he was, but we have to have a presence, man. Like, LeBron is great, he's versatile, but he can't play center.
Hey, Sean, you know what our worst lineup is? When I see Carmelo at center, I be wanting to go through the screen and grab Vogel and choke him. Carmelo Anthony at center, we get no rebounds. This is the worst basketball I've ever seen in my life, bro. I
don't like it either, man. But if AD comes back, I mean, it depends what version of AD we get. He's not gonna be 100% healthy. I know, like, a lot of players aren't 100% healthy, quote unquote. But like it's like AD starts off at like a C+ being healthy. When he comes down the court, we just hope he don't trip over his feet.
Yeah, C+ AD is still top 20. So I mean, hey,
that's true. We need top 5 right now, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
we need top 5 right now.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
When people call him top 5, I was agreeing, but
yeah,
top 5 got to stay on the court, man.
That's true. You got to get that rhythm, even if you're a great player. If you don't play a while, even if you're a great player, it's like, I mean, it's going to take some time to come back, unless you're KD. You know what I mean? But hey, but now, guys, you said what?
That's an anomaly, though.
Kawhi Leonard. What up? Go ahead, Javion. You know you're a Clipper fan. Go on and throw Kawhi out there. How you feel about Kawhi?
Kawhi is the type. Him and AD, I would say both injury prone, but it's a different type. When Kawhi's on the floor, he brings something that AD does. I would say they both injury prone, but when Kawhi's on the floor, he's undeniably top 3 in the
top 3?
Nah, for sure. Not even a question, for sure.
Top 3?
Yeah, bro, I know, bro, Sean. That playoff, that year that they won the championship.
Nah,
people was saying that he was number 1 in the world, and I low-key didn't have a problem with it with the way that he played. Like, Kawhi went berserk.
He was balling. Yeah, you know what, guys? But again, that's why our next episode we have to have the rankings, because even if it's going a couple years ago, because I like the top 3 is still like, you know what? I remember I had a hot take, and I don't think it was hot at first. I thought I was making sense. I had Giannis outside the top 5. I said he's a liability.
I did.
Is that
2 years ago? For sure, I did.
People thought I had him at 10. I had him at 10 going into the game 3 against Brooklyn. I was like, you know what? He proved me wrong. But no, we definitely got to do the rankings, so guys.
10 might have been crazy, but outside of my top 5 for sure.
I was feeling myself. I was like, I'm taking Dame, man. I don't care. I'm taking Dame, to be honest.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sold on none of the Dame hype. I'm sorry.
Oh my God!
Score all the points you want. Do they translate to wins? No, I'm sorry. I can't get behind that.
This man has a hot take for everything.
Bro, I respect people who put the ball in the hoop, but if it don't translate to wins, then what does it mean?
Look at LeBron then, Colin. What's happening right now?
That's what I said. It's sad. 50 to win is sad, bro. It's sad. I be watching the game with tears in my eyes. It's sad, bro.
I'm going to just say this. I'm going to leave it off with this. But imagine LeBron having the team he's been having for the last 5 years doing that. Does that not equal what Dame's been going through then?
Nah, because he got a chip.
But I'm saying the last 5 years. That's all I got to say, though, guys. I appreciate the time. We got to go, man. We have to go, everyone. Have a blessed night. This is the Just Good Network, presented by Your Future Media for all future media purposes. Kylan, Mo, Javion, appreciate you all. Have a good night.
All right, for sure.
Appreciate it.
Shit.